I'm of the mindset that AI is the perfect companion to a well thought out, well engineered, and well calculated machine learning algorithm that sits at the base of your solution.
Welcome, welcome. You are about to get in the hole with Tech-Gofer. I am Nick Mulholland, president of Tech-Gofer and the host of our podcast here. Today we've got president and CEO of Arcuity, Joe Salvati. Thanks for joining us, Joe.
Thanks for having me, Nick.
Yeah, sounds like in a brief, quick intro, some exciting stuff happening over there. As we normally do with our shows, what are we drinking today there, Joe?
Today we're at the office, so we're drinking Monster Zero.
Monster Zero, just getting pumped up, cranking through work. I love that.
Yeah.
I have a Fernet and Diet Coke, although it's a special kind of Coke. It's this Virgil's Coke Zero.
Very nice.
Available at most natural grocery stores. Yeah, it's a good little. Let's hope that it's a little bit healthier than the Coke Zero as well. But here we are.
Okay.
No, we appreciate you being here. We've talked a lot in this show with other guests about AI, and you are, in fact, the president and CEO of an AI company.
Right.
Why don't we start with tell our viewers and listeners, a little bit about your background and how you ended up where you are.
Sure. So I actually have a medical device, medical software background, and got into workers' comp and litigation industry back in 2018 for a big company out here in the West Coast as the head of business development. And after a year, they couldn't get their platform sold, so they fired me. Said I didn't really know what I was doing. And I said, well, I know a little bit something about how to move medical records around, and I don't think you guys really do. So I started Arcuity on that premise, and we've been working on being able to index, analyze, summarize, volumes of medical records. We started in 2019, way before anybody was talking about ChatGPT or really anything AI related, and that's given us a unique advantage because I've got $6 million in 4.5 year head start on everybody else, and so it's very very fortuitous for us.
Yeah. When you originally started the company, did you come out saying that, hey, I'm an AI, we're an AI company first, and we're focused on, improving how medical records are processed, that sort of thing? Or did you have a different, because I find that AI is such a ridiculously crazy used buzzword these days.
Sure.
I'm just curious how you're marketing and how that's changed.
Sure. So we had started out from the very beginning wanting to, first of all, end a particular industry in the United States, copy service or record retrieval, because it's a unnecessarily cumbersome process that really bogs down litigation for people in more ways than they really imagine. So from the beginning, our first motto was trust and transparency through technology. And what we wanted to be able to do was the average claims examiner or adjuster, law firm, even injured worker, right? They're constantly looking at volumes and volumes of records that no one has the time or the ability to actually read through everything there. So there's actually life and death decisions being made every day by folks that have no idea what all the facts are in the case, and we saw that as a travesty. So from the very beginning, we wanted to make AI accessible for the frontline worker. Not this esoteric. Everybody and their brother has a predictive AI platform, which
Right.
For me, AI can't predict. It's a good pattern recognizer, which is all AI and ML does in a lot of different areas, right? So we wanted to make it common sense, like the Jackson Brown everyman kind of a way to use AI, and that's been our approach from the very beginning. And most of our users are the physician reviewers, the examiners, and the adjusters, the people that actually doing all the grunt work on these cases every day.
So just so the viewers and listeners understand, so tell us, what is your main solution? What are the verticals that you really focus on?
So our biggest capability is being able to read medical records from any facility. We don't have to train on them first. We can medical records from any facility at about 1,000 to 10,000 pages per hour, and then be able to produce an index and summary that's on par or better with what you can get done by a human. And then from there, in order to do that, we have to get some really granular control of the record. And from there, we're able to produce almost an unlimited number of reports that the nurse case managers, the examiners, the law firms, paralegals, that they're producing every day by hand and spending hours and hours on. We can turn those out in anywhere from 90 seconds to 30 minutes, depending on the complexity of the report.
Wow. And obviously medical, is there specific niches within the medical vertical that you're focused on, or is it just really anybody that's working with medical records?
Yeah, anybody that's working with medical records, whether it's workers' comp, disability, personal injury, or med mal, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And the report building from there doesn't really matter either, because once you have, like I said, once you have granular understanding of the details on that record, then it's just a matter of putting everything in the right place. So.
So, I mean, a couple things that have come up with conversations with clients of ours, as well as just on the podcast, is compliance and how AI does or doesn't fit into a lot of the compliance out there. I mean, healthcare is one of the most highly regulated across the tech stack, verticals.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how your solution works, how it's fits within the Cures Act and HIPAA, and really just compliance?
Sure. So we built this to be incredibly portable, right? So I can actually take my entire solution and put it inside of a client's network, so that the information actually never leaves their own network. So we're as safe as they are, right? The second thing is we use a type of technology called extractive AI as opposed to generative AI. Everyone's familiar with ChatGPT and Claude and Meta or Llama. Those are all generative AI, meaning that there's a set of libraries out there that are producing responses based on the knowledge they've trained on. We use extractive AI, means we either find the exact data that's being queried, or we return, no response returned, which means we don't hallucinate. We don't have to worry about generating a response that's not grounded in facts. And it's something that is very quickly turned out to be a big advantage right now, because every lawyer in the country who's going to get something that he knows is produced by generative AI from the other side is going to be able to get it knocked out, because they can't prove the provenance of the data and how the decisions were made. And secondly, you have to review that generative data output with as much detail as if you wrote it yourself, because if it hallucinates and costs you your case, you're screwed, right? So
Right.
that whole advantage of using the AI to help speed your case prep along goes away the minute you introduce generative AI.
Interesting. So obviously, I mean, the major benefit that we hear with AI is just it's time saving, right? Aside from that, what have you seen across different clients that you've worked with that are other benefits that to their business?
Sure.
From your solution?
So one of the biggest conversations we have with people who are heading up law firms, nurse case management firms, and TPAs, anybody that has to employ a large group of people to handle either the claims or the litigation. What we're able to show them is that we can actually be a force multiplier in a way that's you couldn't do with 10 additional people, right? And so everybody wants to grow their firm. The claims folks and the law firms both, they're fighting over good people. We get calls every day saying, anybody looking for a job, send them my way, right?
Right.
We show them, look, you can keep your administrative budget the same and grow your revenue by 10, 20, 30%, and get just as good of an output on the reports and the analysis that you're doing. And in today's environment, that's key for each one of our clients as we onboard them.
Yeah, I think a lot of people as well, and we've worked on different AI projects where it's not quite as clear cut as just throwing pricing on a website, right? Phone systems, this is the cost per seat, this is the cost per month. Can you walk through a little bit about how your pricing model works, how anybody that would engage you, like what to expect?
Sure. So we like to the easiest, I guess, like low-hanging fruit for us as far as being able to come up with a pricing model that works are people that, because of the volume, are currently sending their records offshore to have these records analyzed and indexed and summarized. And people would be shocked at how much of that business actually goes on here in the United States. And so we show them that even if you send it to India and you can get a basic index and summary for 3 cents a page, we can give you the $1 version of the Indian index and summary for 100 pages for 3 cents, right? And it doesn't have to leave the country. You don't have to wait weeks and weeks to get it. And you can very honestly tell your clients, no, your data is staying right here in the United States.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Do you mind talking a little bit about, because there are a lot of different software when you get into healthcare that's being used. How does your solution, or does it integrate with some of the, the Epics of the world and some of the other software that medical companies are already utilizing, or even really, like Microsoft Teams or the Microsoft Office suite, if you will?
Sure. So we're very platform agnostic in the sense that most of the medical records are output to a PDF, right? And so that's really where our work begins. So we let our clients, regardless of what system they're using, they output the record to a PDF, and then that's where our work begins. We developed a proprietary process around Azure's OCR. We tested all of them. We found that Azure was consistently the best of the big cloud providers for OCR. So we developed a proprietary process around Azure OCR that allows us to prepare the files and send them into inference, where we're able to get, like I said, an incredibly accurate read and understanding of the data that allows us to be able to create reports or do different types of analysis that you really need a human to sit down and and spend a couple of days to a couple of weeks to go through and do.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, I've done my fair share of research within the AI. I mean, all the new quantum computing chip stuff. It really is amazing how fast things are moving. So with that in mind, as the president and CEO of an AI company,
sure.
If you were to take a guess, what do you see happening in the next 5 years? Are there, do you see that what do you see happening within AI, within medical? And do you have any advice for, IT leaders of medical organizations in what they should be, maybe looking out for, what they should expect when they're trying to implement different AIs, or maybe even just your solution?
Sure. So, I mean, there's a lot of advice I could give, but I don't want to give up the keys. But everybody you talk to, everybody wants an AI solution in-house because they don't want to be the one company, regardless of the industry, that isn't on the leading edge, right? And I would say that any executive team, any business owner, stay away from resist the temptation to spend huge amounts of money on these big, broad, sweeping types of projects because they're sexy, and some guy got into your ear because he's got 450 posts a day on LinkedIn, and he seems like he knows what he's talking about. Go talk to your frontline workers. Find out what the real challenges are that are slowing them down on a day-to-day basis, and then adapt AI in a way that makes sense to them first. Because if you handle most of the issues in an organization as they're coming in the door, so to speak, right? They really start to take care of themselves further on down the food chain. Letting the tiger go once you've already got it in the net and back in the zoo and locked up in a cage, that's not the time to do it, right? You want to unscrew the problem at the earliest possible stage, and it's the frontline workers that will guide you the best, I think.
Yeah, you're the first person to really kind of numb that down, because I agree with you. We do a good amount of contact center projects where AI is being utilized in agent assist and a lot of different call queues and all that kind of stuff. But we had somebody on the call previously that is a contact center consultant, and it's exactly that. Cool. So you just bought a bunch of AI tech.
Right.
You have do your people, are they actually going to use it?
Right.
How are we going to quantify that it was worth the investment if we haven't set up the right processes and KPI tracking and all that kind of stuff? So I love that viewpoint of start small and then go, because I will say that across a lot of different AI companies that we've talked to, There are a lot of companies. I think there's a lot of C-level interest in, oh, we want to be AI. We want to use this AI. But a lot of what I've seen, although this is changing, how to take it and make it applicable to the business, that's a big missing point.
Right.
So yeah, so I really appreciate that viewpoint. That's fantastic advice. So I'll kind of circle back over the next 5 years. Where do you see, your company going? Where do you see AI going? I mean, I'm not going to hold you to it if we look at this in 5 years, but I'm curious as the visionary of your company.
So I think there's going to be a day of reckoning. That's probably with how fast the LLMs are advancing. ChatGPT, these guys are releasing updated and advanced models literally, a couple of times a week in some cases, right? It's just amazing as it's coming. But there's going to be a reckoning where people who are able to access AI now, very simply, anybody with basic computer skills can plug into Hugging Face and write a couple lines of code and be able to start playing with, some of them, the most sophisticated models out there. That's great for generating interest, but it's setting an unrealistic expectation about the kinds of things that are actually going to be able to be done. I'm of the mindset that AI is the perfect companion to a well thought out, well engineered, and well calculated machine learning algorithm that sits at the base of your solution. And that's the approach really that we took going back when I started this in 2019. So everything that we have, nothing relies on an LLM or really a whole suite of LLMs on its own. Actually, everything is based on an incredibly several million line long algorithm that is tweaked and iterated over for almost 5 years now, focusing on the specific problems that we see with are around our solution, and then we use AI in appropriate areas to enhance that. Mm-hmm. People are trying to get around that expensive investment and I just need more tokens, right? Every day someone else is now I can get the tokens from 4,000 to 32,000. Now it's 128,000. Thinking, well, if I just could throw enough in there, it'll figure it out. Problem is the LLM is unable, at least at this point and probably forever, to keep track of where it started as it gets longer and longer. That's why you can upload a 50-page PDF to any of them and get a relatively decent summary out of any of them. We do 38,000 pages. We just did one from USC Tech for 38,000 pages. But everybody I talk to now, these guys are founders at other ChatGPT wrapper companies, which are most of them are. When I tell them I did, they go, well, can you do 1,000 pages? I did 38,000 pages. What's the most? Well, we did 380. Okay, that's great. That's probably what they're going to get. And so I think that this expectation that the bigger the LLM is, the more problems it's going to be able to solve, that's going to wind up, I think, burden a lot of people who are investing more cash than they should in things they don't really understand. And we're going to stick with bread and butter. Dot your I's and cross your T's and do all your numbers and add up. Start with a good algorithm and then supplement it from there. That's our approach.
No, and as I say, any business coach or really entrepreneur that I've talked to, to a certain extent, it's don't try to go out there or be in a real wide focus in and use the sniper rifle approach for what is your best product, who is your ideal customer, and then try to go at that as hard as possible. You can always add on things later. So I love what you just said, because that makes a lot of sense. And it seems like you found a good niche that I don't think medical's going anywhere anytime soon.
No, it definitely isn't.
No. Well, Joe, again, I appreciate you answering the questions. And for anybody out there that has questions about, AI medical records, please reach out to Tech-Gofer or Acuity. We are a partner of Arcuity, so happy to help facilitate that. And as we do before we go, we like to talk about something golf related. So are you a big golfer at all, or?
I golf, but not with any skill. One of the first board members we had was a legit scratch golfer who just dude never missed. I could barely hit the ball, and he was 400 par wherever we went. It was just amazing.
Yep, it is amazing to watch people that somehow have some sort of gene. Maybe it's a gene. Maybe we need to use some AI to figure out what that golf gene is, because I'd like to know that. But my question for you is, what is the best golf course you've played and why?
I got to play Black something on Long Island that hosts some of the major tournaments.
Yeah.
Got on there
That-
because an ex brother-in-law of mine. His dad was one of the golf pros at the course, and I did a solid for them for something that came up, and there I was the most unskilled player on the planet, playing at a place where the Tiger Woods and folks get to swing their clubs. So I apologize for drawing up like on it now, but it was a course on Long Island where I was living.
Yeah.
How about you?
You know what? I've been to some exotic courses, if you will, where bears are running around in Montana and Kananaskis, which is outside of Banff in Canada. I think, well, if the question is just best golf course, man, I think I got to go with Kananaskis, because it's a tough place to get to. It's outside of Calgary, about an hour and a half.
Okay.
Quite remote. It's light there until like 11:30 at night.
Sure.
They have two very nice, very beautiful 18-hole courses where there's snow-tipped mountains, pine trees, and legitimately bear mace in the golf cart.
Oh.
The time that I played there, which I've only played there once, I saw a grizzly bear and 5 black bears throughout 27 holes of golf that I played. So, it's an immaculate, very kind of, I like the courses that are kind of difficult to get to. And then once you're there, it's like, wow, why did somebody build a golf course out here? But it's just so unique. So that would probably be mine.
Very cool. No, but if you build it, they will come. Apparently, you can go all the way up to Calgary in the middle of nowhere and get people to play golf. So there you go.
Yeah, I was a little nerve-wracked because I went out there, I was by myself, and the starter gave me a good 10-minute discussion on bears. And I kind of stopped her and was like, am I going to run into some bears today? And she's like, we've seen more bears this year than any other year, so very likely. And I'm like, probably shouldn't have gotten that hot dog that I've got sitting in the back of my cart right now. That's not the best idea, but
No.
Good stuff. Well, again, Joe, thank you so much. Love the insights that you provided. For those of you out there, again, reach out to Tech-Gofer or Acuity. If you need help, certainly with really just AI and obviously with medical records and what have you. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. We appreciate you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Get in the Hole with Tech-Gofer. Cheers, everybody.
Thanks.